change your major this semester. The big thing is, she'll then go on kind of breathlessly and say, I finally understand improper fractions. Now, Molly is not an unintelligent young woman. She had improper fractions way back when she was in the 4th grade. And again in the 5th grade, and again in the 7th grade, and again sometime in high school, and again in a college math class. And she's standing here saying to me, I finally understand improper fractions. Why? Guess what she taught this week? Improper fractions. And in the teaching was the learning. And that's what Lev Vygotsky is saying. When you language something out, when you organize it, when you try to explain it to somebody, that's the best way to truly learn it. And then she had to do it a second time because half her class didn't understand it the first time. And so she had to kind of reorganize and re-present it. Well, that's what newspapers do with kids in the classroom. Newspaper activities get kids talking with each other about current events, about new words, about sections of the newspaper, about what's the difference between newspaper news and TV news. And there's just a lot of talking that goes on, and in the talking is the learning. I do some things with my students. I tell them the one who learns the most. Classrooms are set up in such a way that the one who learns the most in every American classroom is the teacher. Because we're the ones who do it all. Here's Dan Breen just yammering 90 to nothing at you. We do the talking. And if that's true, and I believe it is, then here's one of the secrets to getting teaching awards. Let's let the kids be the teachers. And that's possible. It's easy to do, but it takes some planning. It takes some thought. It takes some organization. It takes some materials that allow kids to get into the teaching learning kind of process. Number 5. I'm curious to see when 2 is going to come up. Awareness of current events. Kids have almost no knowledge of current events at all. Just ask them. Watch David Letterman some evening on his Man in the Street. I hope those are put up and acted. Can you name the vice president? Thomas Jefferson. Queen Elizabeth. Their answers are really embarrassing. I hope they're put on, but they're not. I give my students some map skill kinds of stuff. I send them around campus asking other students on campus to identify, can you take this pencil and dot in where Miami would be located? I don't expect a correct answer, but I hope they don't put it in Massachusetts. They sometimes do. Any place on the East Coast is good enough. Students have a kind of an iffy kind of a knowledge of current events. And one of the only ways to really alert them to current events and bring names and activities and people to the forefront of their cognitive thinking strategies is with the daily newspaper. Competency with another print media. Students get real good at using books. They're even better today at using the internet than they used to was. In fact, one of the things that bothers me is they're now better at using the internet than they are at using books. To the extent that I put a restriction on term papers that I have students use. How many websites can you use as evidence on this paper? I'll allow 2. Oh my God, Ms. Breen, 2? Where else could we go for information? Let me see. There's a white building right next to ours called, starts with an L, a little library. That comes as new news to some students. And newspapers are even another type of Students kind of like newspapers. They really do. It's much more interesting looking at a newspaper than it is looking at a social studies book. Social studies books are great, and I love social studies books. My two favorite subjects when I was in elementary school, in fact, most of the way through college, were social studies and science. And those textbooks are terrific, but we can lead them to those terrific books using things like newspaper materials. And students enjoy it, I think, mostly because it's different. It's unique. It looks different than books. Looks different than library resources. And so I use it for its motivational value. How does that differ from the previous one? Kind of high levels of interest usually lead to high levels of motivation. I'll give you Breen's motivational cycle sometime today, and it'll change your life. But there's a real relationship between interest and between motivation. Students know about the stuff that's in the newspaper, particularly a local newspaper. They've heard about these things. They've heard about these issues in the community. They know what people are talking about. They know what their high school football team is doing. They may not know about anybody else's football team, but they know about their locals. And the newspaper capitalizes on those local things. And because they have high interest and high motivation, they generally reflect positive attitudes about reading in the classroom. And there's a difference between interest and attitude. And I think attitudes are very, very important. And how do we, one of the things to think about today, we'll talk about strategies for getting after both. Developing interest is easy, I think. Developing attitude is really kind of tough, especially if you come in with a negative attitude up front. Changing negative attitudes to positive attitudes is really very, very difficult. Students who use newspaper in their classes tend to become adult readers of newspapers. This is good news to newspapers. This is one of the reasons why your local newspaper is willing to get back behind and support things like this program. They're a business. They sell newspapers. Did you know that 70% of our population gets 100% of their news from television? Think about that real quick. 70% of the population gets 100% of their news from TV. Well, when you think about TV news in a 30-minute program is asked to do a whole lot. Walter Cronkite defines news as information. So the role of a news reporter or a news broadcaster is to give information. Don't have a resource, a newspaper resource, or some kind of a print medium to get your news. All you're getting is headlines. And it's even getting worse because more and more TV news has gotten out of the information game and has gone into the kind of news entertainment kind of stuff. You get Fox News, you get CNN News, you get all of these folks who've got an agenda that has nothing to do with information and everything to do with telling me how to think or what to think. Okay? And just like there's a place for that in newspapers, it's called the editorial page, it needs to be balanced with other kinds of stuff, informational news on the other pages. And that's what bothers me a lot about the television, infomercial, entertainment kind of stuff, is we're losing the balance. They're all kind of becoming that way. And so we need people who can make intelligent decisions and make their own decisions. And the only way we're going to produce those people is with daily newspapers. And to sell that concept to kids, we've got to do it in the classroom. It will never happen unless you and I have to do it. I'm afraid unless we do this, if you look at the research, 10 years from now, it's going to be 80% of the American population gets 100% of their news from television. When that happens, I'll roll over in my grave somewhere and say, Breen, you missed the boat somewhere.